executes campus events ranging from a private lunch for two at the president's residence to the campus's commencement ceremony for 14,000 guests. She is one of the founding members of the CSU+UC Event Professionals Network and serves as the past immediate chair. And after more than 30 years in events, she still loves the adrenaline, as I know we all do, the adrenaline rush of a well-planned and executed event. Phyllis will be sharing a case study from Cal State Monterey Bay, where the team has navigated significant growth in commencement attendance. They've nearly tripled in size. We'll also hear from Maya Gehring Harris. Did I get it right, Maya? Director of External Relations at UC Berkeley. Maya is an events and engagement professional. I love that, engagement professional, who brings people together through memorable experiences with strategic purpose. A true Berkeley institution, she has attended every large Cal graduation since 1994, except her own. Known for her creativity, deep higher education knowledge, and calm execution, she brings energy, heart, and humor to every project. Maya will share broader commencement trends across higher education, including changing views on keynote speakers, graduate recognition, and security. So with that, we'll get started. And Phyllis, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I am Phyllis Grello. I am the Director of University Affairs, Ceremonies, and Events at Cal State Monterey Bay. And I have had the honor and privilege of being the person in charge of commencement for 16 out of the last 18 commencement ceremonies. And I'm working on number 17 this year. I'm excited. Today, I'm going to be sharing a bit of a case study on our commencement ceremony, looking at where it began, how it evolved, and where it will be headed. Sam, I don't see my PowerPoint, but if everyone else can, I think we're good. I just see the commencement legacy.
Go ahead and share one more time, Phyllis.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me go back up here and share and continue. All right. There we go.
Success.
All right. Yay. We like that. All right. So let's see. Where are we here? Okay. So just like each of you that plan commencement here at Cal State Monterey Bay, it is the largest, most visible event we produce. I like to say that it's like having, for us, we only have about 2,200 graduates. It's like having 2,200 brides, 2,200 grooms, and 2,200 sets of in-laws and outlaws. So lots and lots of pressure, lots of high visibility, and very little room for error. Cal State Monterey Bay is one of the youngest campuses in the CSU system, founded in 1994. Because of that, our commencement traditions weren't inherited, they were built, mostly intentionally, but really mostly organically. At the start, Cal State Monterey Bay's commencement ceremonies were small, they were intimate, they were highly personal. Graduating classes were modest in size, and a single small ceremony covered it. No tickets, no chairs, no arena. Production needs were minimal, basic staging, audio only, no visuals, no screens, and we had a small planning team. In fact, we had a planning team of one, our alumni director at the time, and I'm still not sure how she did it all. While I wasn't here personally, these early ceremonies emphasized recognition and connection. Graduates were known by name, family, friends, and supporters felt personally involved, and expectations were naturally aligned with the campus size and resources. As Cal State Monterey Bay grew, commencement had to scale up. This growth required the move to multiple ceremonies, longer planning times, a more formalized process. This was necessary to make sure that key stakeholders were included, risk, academic affairs, university police. It was no longer a one-woman show. The events team, this meant a shift from community gathering to a major production with increased staffing needs, campus-wide coordination, and more complex logistics. One of the most distinct aspects of Cal State Monterey Bay's commencement is how clearly it has and continues to reflect institutional values. That has always been our goal. As a Hispanic serving institution and a campus that serves the underserved people of California, many of our students are first-generation college graduates, and the ceremony intentionally acknowledges that achievement, not just for the students, but for their families, their friends, their supporters, and our community. Cultural inclusivity, land acknowledgements, and community presence are not add-ons, they are embedded in the ceremony itself. Commencement becomes both a celebration and a statement of who we are and who the institution serves. Like many institutions, Cal State Monterey Bay has faced ongoing challenges around commencement. Now, this will just be a few. I mean, if I wanted to cover all the challenges, we'd be here for days. Increased attendance. As Melissa mentioned, we've grown from 5,000 attendees in 2008, the first year I executed commencement, to more than 14,000 attendees last year in May. And we are on track to exceed those numbers again this year. We started with a single ceremony, grew our campus facilities, and went to multiple ceremonies. Commencement has always been an outdoor ceremony for us, and we all know that outdoor venues bring weather risks, especially near the coast. I know while some of our sister universities are worried about heat, we need to adapt to microclimates that bring fog in the morning, heat at midday, and winds in the afternoon. Our budgets don't always match expectations, and actually, I'll just go ahead and say on the record that our budget never matches expectations and demand. We're understaffed. We need over 200 staff members to step up and work. And we need MPPs who it is a mandatory workday are opting out. Each year we reach pinnacle recruitment by mid-April, and then we watch as we free fall from whatever that initial point of recruitment is to land somewhere around 120 workers. We're very short of what we need to run an efficient and effective ceremony. We have requested to go to a mandatory workday for all staff with a schedule shift, but that right now is ongoing negotiations, as all of you know. And perhaps the most persistent challenge is balancing scale with intimacy. How do we honor individual achievement when thousands are involved? And this is a question we continue to navigate. And we know it's not a question just for Cal State Monterey Bay. I mean, just listening to Melissa, I mean, we don't do near the number of ceremonies that they do at San Diego State or probably at Berkeley, but that is something we're always trying to figure out, is that scale. How do we make it mean something to those who have 10 seconds on the stage? For Cal State Monterey Bay and for each of our universities in the CSU and the UC system, the COVID-19 pandemic fundamentally disrupted commencement, both planning and execution. Like many campuses, we shifted to virtual formats almost overnight. These new digital ceremonies required entirely new skill sets, broadcast production, digital engagement, and managing emotion through a screen. And I have to say, this is really where the network paid true dividends, because we were able to reach out to at least two of our sister campuses, shout out to San Jose State and East Bay. And by working with them, we were able to bridge that digital divide and come up and create a bona fide plan and process on what it meant to produce an event this large on this scale in the digital world. One of the biggest lessons that we learned from this period, however, was that meaning is not tied to format. Graduates, families, friends, and supporters want, need, and deserve acknowledgement. They want their story told, regardless of whether that ceremony is virtual or in person. And we did our best to give them that using online production videos and even a commencement. I know a lot of us went to commencement in 2021. And that really was it too. This wasn't just a single year. 2021 was a repeat, but we were wiser, more savvy, and better prepared. Returning to in-person ceremonies did not mean returning to pre-pandemic norms. Graduates and families returned with heightened expectations, many having waited 2 years for recognition. At the same time, ceremonies were larger. There were multiple ceremonies in a single year. And in 2022, we executed ceremonies both in May for the graduating class of 2022, but also hosted makeup ceremonies over multiple weekends in April for the classes of 2020 and 2021. The team had to manage scale and safety simultaneously under new event protocols. We had to reestablish trust and clarity through multiple communications through multiple channels. Ticket demand went through the roof. At the same time, we were outgrowing our campus ceremony, and we were also going through a leadership change. So how did we take lemons and make lemonade? And what we did was we looked for areas of opportunity to innovate. And again, this won't be a complete list, but here's some of the things that we did. We focused on intentional design, and we went back to the basics. New leadership provided the direction to revert to a single ceremony. And this was the first step, I think, in really, for us, giving us a fresh start. As a small university, we rarely are together as one body. And to have the opportunity to understand the power of us, having 14,000 auditors together in a single site and ceremony is a very powerful message to our graduates, their families, friends, and supporters that we are stronger together. Just being honest, it's a lot easier to plan, execute a single ceremony as opposed to multiple. We took the benefits where we could of this new direction. We thought sustainability, both financial and operational. We embraced technology to improve timing and efficiencies. And then we looked at data and solicited feedback. We asked the question on what matters most to our graduates. And they told us, hearing their name read aloud from the podium, seeing their faces on the big screen, and tickets. Tickets tickets. All I can say is that being able to provide graduates and their families, their friends and their supporters with the number of tickets that first-gen graduates want and need was critical, because this isn't just about them, it's about the people who will come after them as well. So looking ahead, there are opportunities to reimagine what commencement can be. And I'm super excited to hear what Maya has to say about the trend. We are focused on community and belonging. We are using our affinity group celebrations to help us create intimacy and connection outside of the large ceremony, and then reconnecting that intimacy back in with the larger ceremony. We are looking at ways to create digital keepsakes and revenue generators to help us balance our budget. Last year, we offered graduate shout outs and programs and digital programs, as well as programs for sale. I would say the programs for sale were less than successful, but we're going to take another crack at it this year. We're going to actually offer them for sale on site to see if maybe that might be something people will want. We might just have reached a pinnacle where people, this generation, they don't want keepsakes. So this is going to be an interesting experiment. This year, we'll also be asking to expand on-site revenue generators to include parking and exhibitor tables that will allow the community to celebrate with us. Parking, the no-brainer. We're an off-site, but our leadership has been resistant to that change. So we'll see if we can get them to go along with that, and that would really go a long way in helping our budget, right? We're always underfunded. We always start planning 364 days out, and we keep a running tab on how many days to go. And for those who want wake-up call, if your event after commencement ceremony is in May 16th, we're 114 days away today. And I said that earlier to Melissa, and she was like, ooh. And it's crazy. When you say 4 months, you're like, 4 months, 114 days, it starts to sink in how close it really is. The reality is that commencement has and will continue to evolve alongside institutional identity. Growth requires proactive planning. We continue to build our relationships with our campus partners to ensure we're working with and not against ourselves. We acknowledge that value-driven design resonates deeply with our audience, and we remain flexible, especially as expectations continue to change. All right, with that, thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to introduce Myra Gehring-Harris with UC Berkeley to talk about the trends in commencement.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share a screen. Hopefully it overrides. Okay, perfect. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm here to yap at you about commencement and traditions, trends, and trials, since we lived through all of those. And I really like what Phyllis said, is the focus on a celebration of who we are and who we serve, because that's kind of an overarching theme that we have, but we don't follow well. So I am at UC Berkeley. My title is Director of External Relations. So I am housed in the Development Office, Development and Alumni Relations. I have been sort of in my current role for 20 years, if you want to get into the weird, depending on who you talk to. But I have been working at commencement since I was a sophomore. And I have gone to every commencement except my own, because I am really terrible at sitting through ceremonies. As anyone in my office will know, I am not a good event attendee in any way, shape, or form. So I skipped out on my own and went to dinner instead. But just to kind of go through, we're going to talk through some of the traditions of commencement, a little bit of why we have them. I will share this later because I put a lot of links in, just because I am a data history nerd. I work at Berkeley. That's what we do here. Let me make sure. So looking to commencement, this is our Cal Band students last year. Looking at the challenges, one of the traditions we have that we are trying to is, here at Berkeley, we have 96 different commencement ceremonies currently. We add a few more every year because new affinity groups want to have some sort of graduation. But we have 96 that we put on our website. Those are ceremonies that we actually know about in some way. That does not include all the schools or student groups that have their own small ceremonies, small department ceremonies, lab ceremonies, et cetera. We just ignore that those exist. But one of our traditions for our students, we have our big ceremony also on May 16th, which is the heart palpitation about 114 days, is our students go to bars that open at 5 a.m. for our ceremony that starts at 10 a.m. So part of what our tradition is, we have an area for them all to sleep. So these are our band students sleeping a little bit before the ceremony, because once they run up the hill, we give them lots of water and lots of bread products before we put them in their seats. So one of the things that's really important, and Phyllis talked about this a little bit, about our role of commencement in the bigger thing. CSU San Marcos has this fantastic website on their student life page that talks about the student life cycle. And part of my job, and why I'm not in student affairs, I know many of you are, is that my job is to engage in commencement all the different aspects of the student life cycle in graduation. So graduation is kind of the capstone event for all universities in every way. That's kind of what everyone here is working towards, pushing graduates out, if you take the research enterprise out of that. So really looking at this, they have a great list of like all the 8 stages and who's involved in each one. And I thank you to San Marcos because I use this all the time in meetings when I'm talking with deans and directors about graduation and how to change it, of how we're incorporating every step of the life cycle, but also the life cycle applies to graduation itself, from enrolling them in graduation to taking them through all the steps to get to graduation and then getting the diploma. So I'm going to talk a little bit about traditions. I am a big fan of the philosophy is on our campus, tradition is anything that happened last year. So, which means that every 4 years we can totally reinvent the wheel to a point. So very hard with graduation, but it's a mindset that we have that change is okay. We live in a world right now where graduates are very like watching all the videos of what happened last year. And if it's not the same, they're disappointed. But it is okay to make changes because in 2 years, it's a whole different world and they just remember what happened the year before. So I like to start off, this is the 1895 Code of Academic Dress. You can see how much gowns have changed since 1895. This was rewritten in 1935 and has not been redone since. So we haven't changed that much with our graduation styles, but our students have. And this is from Cal State Long Beach, just showing the style of our graduates really want to express themselves. And kind of the theme and the biggest trend in graduation is the individuality in a large group. Students want to stand out as individuals in their ceremonies. And I love this photo just because it kind of represents that of both traditional and not traditional at the same time. So what does the data say? I'm a big fan, and I work at a university where my leadership needs data. And we do every single ceremony, we do a follow-up with our graduates. We do a pre-survey and a post-survey, asking them what is most important to them and what is least important, and a couple other things based on ceremony logistics. So this is my awesome colleague, Carlin, who did our December graduation ceremony. So we do it in a 12,000 person venue. This year we had about 1,000 graduates. So as opposed to our May ceremony, we're tracking on 14,000 graduates showing up now in our stadium for 64,000. So really constantly asking, this is the trend we've seen. We started these in 2020 and have been doing them every year since. The number one thing people really want to do is to celebrate with their friends and family, and to have their name called and walk across the stage. So in this trend, this is the first year that this data shows friends and family more important than having their name read. The past years, it's been like 60%. And the students don't equate the difference between having their name read versus walking across the stage. We've tried ceremonies where they just walk across the stage and they show up on the screen. We've tried name reading. And then our May ceremony, we don't read names at all. So, but time and time again, our students are telling us this is most important. And this is where we're going to get controversial. The least important part of commencement is the keynote. And we now have 5 years of data that we have gone to leadership and said, keynotes are a waste of our time and everyone hates them. So, and I'll get into a little bit of that, and how we went about to leadership. We are looking at how do we eliminate the keynote? How do we transition the keynote? And being in development, I can talk a little bit about our process here at Berkeley, which is a little strange. So one of the things is trends. So trends are a thing we all follow. We all read all the blogs of like what's happening. If you're not following Inside Higher Ed and their conversations on AI and graduation, really good time. But Elvis Presley basically was like, the reason it worked and I was trendy was because there wasn't anyone else at that point. So trends that are going away or happening. One, the staff time to tie all these little bows. This is our College of Engineering really likes to do a gift. Our students don't want these things, is what we're finding in our survey results. They don't want the gift. And our staff definitely doesn't want to spend the time tying bows on things. We're finding that environmental is a big deal. So if it's something they can use for the rest of their life, but most of those things are not things they can use. And I'm curious how many of you are still giving your graduates gifts. That being said, we do for our December ceremony, we give them the paper scroll. We're also talking about, do we still need to do that or not? Speaking of sustainability, gowns are the big issue. And everyone who knows me and my passionate hatred of blue undergraduate gowns, we are doing that this year at Berkeley. So we're slipping away from the black gowns into doing the renewable gowns, but the polyester gowns, we're getting a lot of feedback from students that they really hate those. Our students are really concerned about microplastics, so which is great. So the gown rental programs. However, we do have faculty that are really angry and say that the rental program is actually worse for the environment. So fun faculty academic fight meetings, really good time. Let me know if you want to come listen because it keeps me entertained. We're also finding a lot of stuff. Graduates really want to personalize their gown. So is the big trend. So you can see this is from our December graduation, of just all the different things they can buy. I will just say this here. I don't think there's anybody from the sales companies. I really dislike stoles on undergraduates, but every undergraduate I know thinks the stole is the most important part. They really like that ability to express themselves and think it's really important. So having been doing this in graduations for over 30 years in the world, before stoles, before charms, where we were just decorating mortar boards, we're seeing less and less mortar board decoration and more focus on the stole expressing, because it's just a more vibrant expression of the student. The other big trend has been going on for a couple of years, but that's the selfie and the photo being the most important part. The photo things. So photo stands, places to take photos. We're adding in areas basically in our graduate gathering. They're basically photo booth stops where they can stand with a step and repeat and take pictures. That's what they really want to do beforehand. They want a moment for the photos. Additionally, we're looking at how do we support our students who don't have the income. I don't know if all of you have the same issue on your campus of the 4-month-long grad photo shoot during magic hour on campus. It's a big thing on our campus is everyone's hiring private photographers and they're doing student group photos and personal photos. Our average student goes to 7 different graduation ceremonies in the spring semester, but depending on their wealth income bracket, they do up to 16-hour-long photo shoots. So how do we make that equitable for our students who don't have the economic wealth or the economic ability to hire photographers to do these professional photo shoots? So we're looking at, can we have the Alumni Association put in photo booths at all of the popular spots so that the students can all have equity in taking photos, and also makes risk management happy because we're dealing with a liability issue of all the people who see one photo and want to recreate the standing on the ledge that is 100 feet up in the air with champagne and glitter. So facilities will be happy with me too, because we have a glitter issue on our problem on our campus. We also have started using our hashtag banners. Our graduates love to take photos with these. And it also lets us promote for our social media team. So it makes them really happy. So we have the hashtag CalGrad. I've had this banner stolen almost every year. So the other thing we're all dealing with is the parent paparazzi, as we call them here at Berkeley. So parents are really, the moment is all about the graduate. So they want to see their graduate. They want to be with their graduate. This is one of my favorite photos for our December graduation. We actually keep the parents separated by a physical wall, as you can see. And they all gather in this corner on this side, and there's another corner on the other side where they have to see their graduate the second they graduate. And this is a trend I think we're all trying to deal with in different ways, where it really is that moment for the graduate is so important for the entire family. So we're allowing them to bring in facial things to scream and yell. How do we personalize but not slow down the ceremony at the same time when we're dealing with such large numbers? Gathering areas after the ceremony to really have that moment with family and friends, introduce the boyfriend to the mom, things like that. But also because balloons are the trend that is going away. So if you still have balloons at your ceremony and have not gotten latex complaints or latex allergies yet, just know they are coming. We had a lawsuit come out of our football game this year that had balloons in it. So that'll be the new trend for risk management is no balloons anywhere. And I know many of us love our balloon arches to help guide our graduates to different places. So be prepared for alternatives to latex. I like to show this photo because this is our graduation pre-pandemic. So this is 2019. This is in our Greek theater. And you can see there's a lot of graduates and not that many family members. Pre-pandemic, it was a very different world and people would bring 4 or 5 graduates. Sam, do you have a question?
No, sorry. The Zoom thought I did.
Okay. So we're seeing now increased family side. So we are still limiting tickets to 4 people for our large ceremony, but people are still bringing huge families and finding ways to get in. So they're trading tickets with friends, things like that. This is a photo of last year's May ceremony. This is just one section where we have 14,000 graduates and they all want to bring 4+ family members. And this is one of the 7 ceremonies they're going to. So just dealing with the scale of how do you make things personal in a really world where you're dealing as an event planner with the mass piece. I like to show this. So keynotes. I want everybody not to look at the speaker, but look at the faces of the people in the background. This is the photo I used with leadership of why we don't need keynotes anymore. So you look at people are talking to each other, looking on their phone, and clearly he is speaking. And then if you look at this photo, same event, this is our student performer halfway through the ceremony. And if you look at the audience, how much more engaged they are. People are not paying attention to keynote ceremonies. So we actually use this photo as the visual description to say why we need to eliminate keynotes. The resources for it, people just want to hear from our students. So this is our student speaker in December 2025. And again, you can see the representation of personality in his regalia. But also in all of our surveys, this was the highest rating part of the program, other than walking across the stage with their name. So the other big trend is AI and data. So the virtual name reading is become the thing. It helps move your ceremony so much faster, especially for your larger ceremonies. It does have glitches. We just, for the first time in December, got pushback on the number graduates upset about us using AI name reading. So we are looking, Davis has a model of they hire professional name readers. We're considering that for December, but people really want that personalization, and systems like Tassel and Grad Images, and I believe ProPix has it as well now too, with that digital name and video, and also the ability to send them the encapsulated video after the fact of them crossing the stage. These are what graduates are wanting. So also to have their name right. That's probably the most important. Oops. Okay, so next slide. So basically just kind of trials. I know I'm over time, so I'll talk really fast. But I love this quote from Jimmy Carter, especially when it gets to be May, and I'm in a lot of leadership meetings about protests because they happen. The number one trial is crowd size. How are we dealing with the scaling as an industry of graduation being so much popular? When I started doing graduations, we did them in a ceremony that fit 6,000 people. We are now overgrowing our stadium that seats 64,000. So, and we anticipate increased growth in our student populations over the next couple of years. So more graduates means more families. Do you need to split into multiple ceremonies? How are you managing the crowd? And how they're getting from place to place, what they need, and the infrastructure for it. The good thing is about shorter ceremonies, if you eliminate the keynote, you're focusing on the part that students, your leadership gets the opportunity to give that address of like, go out into the world and do good things. But it also is mitigating the number of hours you have people sitting in the sun, or in Phyllis's case, in the cold fog. How many food and beverages, how many staff you need to clean, just the bathrooms, because when you have a 5-hour ceremony, that is a lot more staff and a lot more facility usage. So we're really looking at that as part of our budget reductions. We have gone to video addresses, so to tell some graduates what they need to bring, what they don't need to bring, but also one for guests. So we're finding the Instagram world really needs the digital input. They're not going to look at a website of, here's what you can bring to the stadium. So we have video productions that share with them. And finally, the one we all love the most of all is disruptions during the ceremony. Our rule here at Berkeley is anywhere there's going to be a camera, we're going to have a protest. And my boss's philosophy, if you didn't get a protest, you probably didn't market well enough. Luckily, we don't have that problem with graduation. We get protests all the time. So this was 2 years ago, where basically all of our students decided to create their own section to lead cheers and boo everything going on stage. So this is unfortunately just a normal way of life. I'm happy to share with everybody. We have basically a shell document of like everything that could possibly go wrong at graduation and what our proposed response is. We don't share it publicly because we don't want the whole world to know what our responses are, but that's what we sit down with leadership before the ceremony and say, what do you want us to do in this case? This is what we're recommending. Would you like a different action? So we have a plan. We have someone in charge of that plan day of ceremony, and everybody is very aware of the same plan. So other than that, so all these photos were taken by Keegan Hauser, except for the the Long Beach one. This is my favorite photo of one of our faculty. So you can do this. You can survive graduation once again. But if nothing else, taking a bite out of your computer is always fun as well. So and just the photo credits because I have to, but I'm going to stop talking now because I'm way over.
Great. Thank you, both Phyllis and Maya. So now we'll move into our Q&A portion. Wanted to kick it off first with some questions for both Phyllis and Maya. Phyllis, wanted to ask you if you were advising a campus who is going to experience rapid commencement growth, what would you tell them to do sooner rather than later? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. A good question. So I think with anticipated growth, which I think really that's what we're all seeing, right? That's what Maya's saying. Like the number she grew, did you say from 5 to 64,000? I thought I was in that spot. Is to, believe it or not, start earlier, communicate more, and anticipate, what action you should take. Again, are you going to have to offer more ceremonies? So I think the idea is really get on it earlier. I remember when I started planning commencement back in 2007, it was maybe like maybe, I don't know, 4 month, 5 month. As I mentioned, we start day 364. And more, we meet earlier, we form our teams earlier, we get our area leads earlier. So I think that getting a jump on planning, because I'm an over communicator, maybe a lot of event professionals are. But I recently took the opportunity at a manager's meeting to plug commencement. So, we like to start recruiting in August because we need it. So that's what I would say. Start earlier, form those teams, and the longer the planning, season and session, I think the happier you'll be at the outcome.
Great. Thank you. Maya, you mentioned you will no longer have keynote speakers, but you're keeping your student speakers. How do you manage? Do you ask for their scripts in advance? And I'm asking because we had a situation with a student speaker where they went off script. So we asked for remarks in advance. They went off script, and unfortunately, we were no longer able to share our video recordings. They couldn't be posted online because of the remarks that were made. And that's just really the time that we're in right now, right? I mean, I think they use it as a platform. And so just curious how you handle that on your campus and if others have experienced the same thing. Do you, turn the mic off? Like what's your process at Berkeley?
Well, one, we have it in our disruption. If anyone goes off script or there are banners on stage, that's all part of our pre-address, like how we're going to deal with it. Are we going to cut the live feed? Are we going to just edit and post? What are our options there? And we kind of go through all the different details because, again, student things. What we have done is really create it as an honor. So there's an application process where they submit their topics. And then we offer as a resource to help them grow and develop professionally a speechwriter who will sit down with them. And our lovely Amy in our office, she will spend, if the students let her, she'd probably spend 80 hours with each of them. So she's a professional drama coach as well, and loves theater. So she sits down and they like walk through the speech, the delivery, the aspect. And I like to say that if anybody can get through all that time with Amy and then still want to give their own speech, I'm kind of shocked because she will like take them through the nuances. She like brings out in their speeches what they are most passionate about and really incorporates what their passions are into an eloquent speech. So they may start off with like, I'm a speech and debate student, but Amy takes them on the journey of how to present on a stage and an audience for 64,000 because most of them have not done that. So our student speeches are just phenomenal every time. And the students really see it as an amazing resource for them. And again, we are all about the data. So I survey our AV people on like what they suggest. We survey our speakers and stage people, and our students all say that experience is probably some of the best professional development they've gotten on campus. But it also gives us as a university a level of control. So, and we do that with all of our students. Our senior class president goes through that with Amy. Our keynote for our big ceremony, we just use our university medalist is our keynote automatically. And I have never had that student go off script just because of these are our like somehow have a 4.5 at Berkeley and are researching cancer cures and have studied abroad for 5 years, even though they've only been here 4. And they're helping at the local middle school. And meanwhile, they're supporting a family of 10 back home with their side work. And these are the students that were like, how have I failed in life? Because you do everything in 20 minutes that it takes me like 3 weeks to do.
Thank you. And like you said, it is an honor. So I think just kind of reiterating that with them is so important.
And we bring them into the green room beforehand too. Like we treat them as we would treat a $1 billion donor. So they know that this is a special opportunity for them. And it really eliminates a lot of our risk and concern in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just looking in the chat, we have some questions about hooding graduate students. I know, Theresa, you mentioned your hooding garden. Do you want to, I'm going to put you on the spot, Theresa. Do you want to talk about your hooding garden? Because I love it. It's such a great idea.
Oh, sure. To be honest, I think attending these kind of sessions is what got us started in thinking of options back in the day. I used to always, consult with other campuses, how do you guys hood before? And everybody had their tricks and all that, but faculty always pushes back and that they want to be on stage and stage and stage. So, but COVID, gave us that opportunity to pivot. So here we are, and the Hooding Garden was born. And we started, and we did get a lot of pushback. Faculty was, not happy about it because it's a stage thing, it's this. Students' families were a little upset about it as well. But as you say that we continue to grow every year and implement something that satisfies our students, we go ahead and do that. So, but in a nutshell, so basically, at lineup, when students arrive, we have a hooding garden to the left of the lineup, which is like an open grass area. And we have a backdrop set up with our rental company for plants. And it's great with photo colors and everything. So photographers already set there. Media Vision has implemented a live kind of like a live stream. There's no sound, there's no ceremony, but if the link's available, parents could watch from their seats when they're waiting. But it's not a ceremony. It's just basically a hooding. We have a video for graduates we share this time of year. It tells you when you arrive, you go here, then you go get hooded, go back to lineup, ceremony begins. So I want to say we're now in our third, fourth year now, so people are very receptive. Students, the best thing that they love about it, the amount of pictures they get, just like you shared, Maya. They just want the attention. And our photographer, ProPix, does a great job and gives them a big selection of photos. And these students they just love it. So, and they get their pictures so quickly. So, there's so many variations of showcasing them. So, some of the candid photos, which I like to see after the fact, is, there's candid conversation with their faculty member that is hooding them, and they take those candid photos. So you get that element too. So I think it's very personal. I think people have now accepted it and they support it. And I think because other graduates post often and talk about their experience with their chair or whoever hooded them, that it gives us more props. So Helen and I are very happy that continues to be positive, and hopefully it'll continue to be it's a big time saver for sure. I want to say when we did the assessment of time given for the larger ceremonies, it gave you back like 25 minutes or 20 minutes of hooding. So that's a big deal. Because we can't, Maya, negotiate the speaker part yet. So we'll take this 25 minutes. And our ceremonies are 90-minute long. So, but yes, that's in a nutshell, Melissa.
Thank you. I know we want to do the same at SDSU, so we'll probably be contacting you and Helen for more info. But I want to put my
Yes.
colleague Jackie Fuller on the spot now to talk about how we handle hooding at SDSU. And I mentioned earlier we did create separate graduate student commencement ceremonies. So we pulled them out of our main ceremonies. So those are just undergraduate ceremonies. And so now we have two focused on our graduate students, and that has been a huge time saver for the undergraduate ceremonies. But Jackie, you could kind of just walk them through the process and how we do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Theresa, as you mentioned, those 25 minutes, I mean, it was about 30 minutes in just our hooding of our doctoral candidates. So we weren't even hooding our master's degree students at that time. So yeah, that huge time saving. People are like, oh, it's not that much time, but that's 25, 30 minutes. It's a lot of time in a ceremony. So as Melissa said, this will be our fourth, I think, ceremony where the graduate level students, so all master's, doctoral, post-bac students will be pulled into their own graduate studies ceremony, which that's two different ceremonies. So graduate studies has two different ceremonies. So I think we were talking about logistics and communications, but making sure too that graduate students know. So now you're not going to your undergraduate college ceremony and you're going to go to the correct graduate studies ceremony. So I think Phyllis, you mentioned over communication, but we're the same way. We want to over communicate because we know there's a lot of there can be a lot of confusion for graduates and families. Am I going to, I'm a doctoral engineering student. Am I going to the engineering ceremony? Am I going to graduate studies 1? Am I going to graduate studies 2? So really, over communicating that and helping. But what we've done, is we communicate with all of our doctoral and MFA programs in advance, and all of those candidates arrange their hooding mentor who will be hooding them, the faculty member, communicate all of that with them beforehand. We have a rehearsal also the week before the commencement ceremony, so that anyone who can attend, we really encourage them to attend while the stage is set up and we go in and practice. And then we utilize tassel to have their name read, and then their hooding mentor's name appears with them on the video screen. So we've really had a lot of positive feedback, not only from our students, because that gets them on stage with their hooding faculty member, gives them their moment to shine, but it also has really helped us streamline the process, because prior to this, we were actually including them in a live script. So if a doctoral candidate didn't show up or that faculty member didn't show up, we were running up to the dean 5 minutes before showtime saying, we're crossing out Melissa's name, we're adding Jackie's name, because that was all being read live in the script. So it's really helped a lot, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and we're just hoping to even continue improving that process, because we have been approved to add several more, as we've become an R1 institution, yay, we've been approved to add several more doctoral programs. So we only anticipate our number of doctoral candidates to grow. We're scaling up.
And then our master students, they arrive wearing their hoods. So they're given instructions in advance to have those on. Okay, thanks, Jackie. So we have a question in the Q&A. What pre-ceremony entertainment do your schools use? DJs, slideshow, other ideas? For SDSU, this past commencement, we added a DJ to our assembly area, and that was huge. It just created like the best vibe, a lot of energy. He was kind of our MC, so he was giving them announcements. You're about to get lined up, and just was a really fun way to kind of get the energy and excitement going. So we'll definitely be doing that again. Anybody else have anything that they do? Maybe with the graduates outside or pre-ceremony indoors?
We're cheap, so we don't do a DJ. We have a Spotify playlist that we ask the graduating seniors in our office to put together. So which they find really fun, of like all the celebratory songs that mean something to them. And then someone older on staff listens to make sure it's grandma appropriate, as we like to say in our office, or someone else's grandma. Because sometimes my students are a little more spicy than we need them to be at graduation. But for us, it's really the party and the celebration, and trying to make it so they can gather with friends and celebrate with friends. So our photo booths are really what they're engaging in. And then again, ours is, they've been at the bars for 4 hours, so we're also trying to sober them up. So our engagement is a lot of staff walking around pushing croissants.
Yeah, at Cal State Monterey Bay, we have a DJ, have had for years. We have our mascot walking around. We have our representatives from Grad Images walking around in that area doing a lot of photos. We have a standard or canned playlist in the arena where friends and families and supporters are gathering. Last year, we have always had a pre-show PowerPoint that rolls. Last year, we sold graduate shout-outs so that parents could purchase for $100 a slide within the college PowerPoint to congratulate their child. That was popular. We also offered those to community businesses, local businesses, to just in general support all of the graduates and support the university. That was very successful. The one boo-boo that we made, though, was that the parents that bought last year were under the impression that it would also be played in the student assembly area, so their child would get to see it. And that goes from 8 until 10 in the arena. It wasn't the student assembly, so we're going to modify that this year and make sure that it's being played simultaneously in the student assembly so students can actually see that. We also have food and beverage. We have the bookstore there. We have the Alumni Association down there on the floor with our graduates to kind of make it a big party for them. And yes, our students do show up drunk as well. And so we have lots of coffee, and we don't have a sleeping area per se, but we have people eyeballing our students. And if there's someone who's, not ready to walk the red carpet or the blue carpet in our case, we pull them aside, give them a little bit of attention.
Thanks, Phyllis. Estella, I'm curious how you got away from playing pomp and circumstance for your graduates.
Wow. Shocking.
I'm putting you on the spot.
It just kind of happened one given year and no one ever said anything. And so we didn't ask and it was never brought up. We do play pomp and circumstances as they're walking across the stage and having their name read. But during the procession, it's just a fun time. We typically do have a DJ out where they're lining up in their graduate check-in area as well, giving them instructions. And then while their family members are in the stadium, we do have our mascot running around, and then we have like a kiss cam or shout out your student happening on the screen while 15-30 minutes before every ceremony. So that's a big hit too.
Great, thank you. I'm just reading what Shannon just put in. That's great. So you have performers, actual performers, mariachi, Aztec dancers. That's so fun. Love it.
Many of them are students and faculty who are part of those groups, which is really kind of amazing.
Yeah, what a great opportunity to showcase them. Okay. Any other questions in the Q&A? I wanted to ask the group, what systems or tools have made the biggest difference for you? I know kind of throughout the chat, we've talked about Tassel and other tools, but is there anything that maybe you've used recently that you want to share with the group that really just has made a huge difference? Maybe with your planning. Do some of you, how do you plan? Do you use an Asana or a project type based, software program? We're old school still. We use spreadsheets and we're in Google Drive and that's how we work. But just curious, maybe if people have planning tools that you would recommend. You're on Asana, Maya. Do you like it?
I actually love Asana, and we were on Hive before that. Asana has been great for us because we can add our students in, so our student employees in our office, so we can assign tasks for them, whether they're remote or in person every day. So we can make sure, and then we have 4 students, so each of them takes one of our major projects and is the student lead on our customer service aspect of answering all the emails, and then we're there to support them with the crazy parents. But they really take ownership of their event and the communications with the one-on-ones with their families. So we make sure everybody gets personalized attention. But we can track in Asana all the hard calls. They can immediately ping us in Asana, but it also gives us a framework to work every year. And it's one place we can all see where things are as we're sharing tasks. We have one lead for our program for each event we do. And then a lot of us get assigned in different chunky areas. So I was telling this to the team yesterday, but in our office, we rotate events every 3 years. So you're only the principal every year. So Asana lets us see, how did the person do it last year? What were their tasks? What do you want to change? What do you want to improve? And then you have something to leave behind when you move on to the next event.
I have to tell you, Maya, I want to hear more about that, because even though it's a button or it's my source of pride that I've taken care of now 17 out of the last 19 commencement, I am exhausted. Those 2 years I didn't do commencement, they thought I was going to be sad, and I literally couldn't keep the smile off my face because it's just so high pressure. So I'd love to hear more about that, because I already do rotations with my event team. So some person's going to be the on-site logistic coordinator this year, and someone else will back that person up. And then we have somebody who remains back on campus to handle all the other events, and we rotate that. But being out of the lead position would be awesome. And also gives your team an opportunity to grow and learn. And, in case of the proverbial bus, there's somebody else who actually has done it. So I really do want to hear about that more. We can go offline on that, but I want to pick your brain on that one.
And
I want to say, Cal State Monterey Bay, we still we use Google Docs, spreadsheets. We have gone for student communications. We have gone straight through Tassel. This is our first year. We started last year communicating through Tassel, but this year all student communications will not go through University Communications. They'll all go through Tassel, so we can see who's opened it, who hasn't opened it. We are also using 42 Chat in our chat bot. And this year, it's automatic. Last year, they had to actually opt in. That was, I mean, I think from our standards, it was a failure, but from 42 Chat, they thought that our buy-in and our opt-in was pretty good. This year, absolutely everybody is being automatically enrolled in 42 Chat so that we can send messages and speak to them in addition from Tassel, because Tassel you can't do texting, and through 42 Chat you can text. So you need both, because no one reads emails anymore anyways, and so you can text them, and that's really the benefit of 42 Chat and the chat bot is we can text them, just like CSU+UC, right? We get those chats, it's great.
So Phyllis, I was just looking in the chat. So you use Tassel, but you also use Voice Talent. So is Tassel just for like registration and like the lower third display? And then you have
ticketing, lower third, but we do not use them for announcing. We actually did last year for the first time have our students, because in the past we'd give them a card. And so that's what they would hand to the reader. And we probably went to professional readers, I think, in 2017, maybe 2018. And we've never looked back, because before that we had faculty members doing the reading. And they just weren't as polished or as professional as we really wanted them to be. And we love it. Students love it because there's very little chance for any kind of error, because as they come across, they're really handing their card to the actual reader who's going to be reading it. We did have a little bit of a glitch last year where we attempted the gun, where that's how the reader would get the information. But we had problems with students, like their battery were dead, their phone was cracked, it wasn't up bright enough, all those kinds of things that we communicated to them. So we've gone back to the cards, which is, very low tech, but, we have them at check-in. We have them before they cross the stage. So in case someone doesn't have something, we've got it taken care of. But yeah, we use Tassel for ticketing, for registration, and for this year, for all of our communications to students.
I know we're almost at time, but I wanted to bring up one more item. And you talked about it, Phyllis, communication to graduates. You're going to be doing all of your communication through Tassel. I'm just curious, Maya, you mentioned you have some videos that you share in advance, and we're actually at SDSU going to be using video tutorials as well. We're creating some videos that are focused on Tassel, and then so the registration process, and then also claiming tickets through Ticketmaster. Both, they're just very complex processes, and we want to have it outlined for them. And so we're using this program called Animaker. So we'll have a really cute little avatar grad, and so we're hoping that will be something that's fun, and they'll watch it hopefully, because obviously we send out so many emails, and we have our full website, but we don't feel like our grads are getting the information. So we're wanting to really just share it in ways that we know, like through social, ways that they're going to be able to digest it more. So Maya, you mentioned you're kind of doing the same thing with video as well.
Yeah, we started videos 3 years ago, I think. And it has been really helpful for graduate information just in the world of Instagram Reels. We have a phenomenal social media team, so they often get them very silly with our mascot and doing little tiny snippet stuff. And they have his social media plan for graduation is kind of my favorite thing ever, because it's so overwhelming, and it's like 25 events in one. But that's why Benny is if you ever want to talk to Benny, he's awesome. And just his whole vision of engagement with students. We do still struggle with grandmas bringing purses. I would say that's the issue that we're working on next, because no matter how many times we say clear bag in every communication, we still have an entire bag check full of Louis Vuittons from grandma. So if anybody has a solution from that.
If it was only Louis Vuitton, that'd be one thing. We have people show up like they're moving in. They have so many bags. So what we're doing this year is we are putting a security guard in each parking lot, and we are having very large signs printed up that say, know this, know that, don't bring this, don't bring that. And then as they enter in the area where they queue up in line, we're actually going to have our campus store there selling clear bags for like $5, just nothing expensive, just so they can then transport and change all their stuff and hopefully go back to the car. That was one of the biggest problems that we had last year. Held up check-in, held up the line. As a matter of fact, our president and our leadership was just like, we don't care, just let them in. We're like, no. But that was really a problem. And we would walk the line, and people, once they're in line, they are not getting out. They do not care. Yeah. And I think we're also going to look into lockers this year. Like, you have like at the bus station, or I don't know if you have any places where you can, like, you just walk in. I don't care if it's free. You just put your stuff in a locker, take the key with you, because it's a disaster. It's the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems we have.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I think this was a really fun discussion. We could sit here for hours talking about commencement. But I will turn it over to Sam to wrap us up.
Awesome conversation. I have nothing to do with commencement, and every time I listen in on these sessions, I learn so much, and it makes me really excited to see all the thought that goes into making these events so meaningful for our students and their families. Just thank you all so much for logging on.